You're listening to Melanie's Matters radio show. Be sure to follow us on blogtalkradio.com and also subscribe on our YouTube page. Search YouTube and type in Melanie's Matters. The Melanie Matters show, where we always highlight artists, business owners, and we talk about the matters of the community.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Melanie Matters Show. I am super excited today because we have a special author. Now, guys, I don't know if you heard about Mr. Jerome Waters, but if you have not, well, I tell you guys, you got a treat for tonight. So, Mr. Waters, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm blessed. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, absolutely. So the name of your book is called Capital of Maryland. So give us some insight and some background about this particular title. First of all, let's start there.
Well, Capital of Maryland is the capital of Maryland is Annapolis. That's where I basically was raised at, and down southern Maryland on Sands Road, Wilkeston, Maryland. So I titled the book Capital of Maryland just to give you more insight of Annapolis and to give you insight about the money that's floating around in Maryland, period. But the book is mainly focused on Annapolis, you know what I mean, and tells you about the various projects and my upbringing in Annapolis. Because basically most people that's from out of state, and I've been in the feds and everything, so basically most people from out of state, when they look at Maryland, the number one place they look at is Baltimore. But, you know what I mean, Annapolis, you know what I mean, it's basically Annapolis is Annapolis. It's just the same. Basically it's smaller than Baltimore, but it's basically all the same was going in Baltimore. It's somewhat the same going in the city of Annapolis. So I basically give the reader more insight of what's going on in the capital of Maryland.
Okay, so when I'm thinking about that, of course, when you say the capital of Maryland, and we all know that, you know, it's Annapolis. When I think of Annapolis, I think of politics. I think of good things. You know, I don't necessarily think of the quote-unquote bad things or the bad side. So are you saying that there's a bad side to the capital?
Oh, of course. I mean, they just decided the people is not gonna show you or tell you what's going on in Annapolis, but the drugs, the violence, you know what I mean, the murders, you know what I mean, the prostitution, police brutality, police harassment. Everything else is going on in any other city is the same as going on in Annapolis. You go to Annapolis, you got a historic spot downtown Annapolis. It was the first place that Coach Kente came. They got off the ship. You know what I mean? It's basically a historic spot downtown Annapolis, but it's one bridge that separates Annapolis downtown historic from the most dangerous spot in Annapolis, and that's Eastport. And it's one bridge that's separated. You know what I mean? It's a red zone down there. I mean, that's the most dangerous place. They tell you not to come if you do visit Annapolis, but they don't tell you about that. So my book is basically giving the reader or somebody who's curious about Annapolis the whole full story, not just half a historic spot and, I mean, the Naval Academy and this and that. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you the full force, 100. You know what I mean? So, I mean, no cut cars. This is what it is in Annapolis, growing up in Annapolis, and it's always been like this.
Okay. So why? So the question, the magic question is why? Why did you see the need to bring to light the other side of Annapolis?
Because a lot of people, I mean, like you politicians, you got the governors, and I mean, they somewhat like to hide things. And it's like Baltimore. I mean, really, the world really didn't know about Baltimore really until I believe that The Wire came out, and then The Wire showed them another side, like, this is the real city, this is the real Baltimore right here. So, I mean, that gave me an idea, like, I mean, you read about Annapolis, the main things, the Naval Academy, the historic, you know what I mean? Like, nah, this, I'm going to give you the 100. I mean, this is the real Annapolis right here in my book, you know what I mean? This is basically, when you come here, this is what you got to look forward for, too. Not to be blindsided, there's always two sides to a story, but most of the time, when they talk about Annapolis, I mean, they only give one story. But, I mean, I grew up down here and lived in these infested neighborhoods, drug infested, violence. I grew up in places like these, you know what I mean? They got 11 projects in Annapolis, you know what I mean? A lot of people don't know that, you know what I mean? But I'm basically giving them the other side of what's going on in Annapolis. So.
Now, do you think, let's say you said there's a naval academy there or naval base there, and of course, you know, politics is definitely going on there. Do you think the people in the quote unquote higher powers want to necessarily show a light to maybe the dark side of Annapolis?
Well, they don't. I don't think they want to show too much light. They got to show some. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious when the violence kicked off and. I mean, the murders and just the basic the drug selling and everything. So they gotta somewhat show some type of light on it, so they won't look like they turning the blind side to it. But they still not putting their all into it. I mean, they still closing down recreation centers. You know what I mean, for kids. You know what I mean, the Boys and Girls Club. You know what I mean, they putting trespassing out in the neighborhoods. People can't come see their families. You know what I mean, because they live in drug infested areas. You know what I mean? They do all this undercover, you know what I mean, the police brutalities, you know what I mean? It's all facts. I mean, a lot of cases just get thrown out, but they don't want to show the light in that to basically saying that they doing something wrong. They just show a little light saying they know about the problem, they trying to do something about it, but most of the time it's just all talk.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a brief break, and then when we come back, we're going to really dive into the book and to really get a sense of what you're trying to convey in your book. So we'll be right back.
When the numbers don't add up, who do you call? When dealing with financial problems, you need someone fast, reliable, and consistent. You need more than just an accountant. You need a partner. To operate a successful business, you need a banker, lawyer, and accountant. Zen's Accounting Service. Call Zen at 410-444-8283 or visit her website at www.zensaccounting.com. That's ZENS accounting.com. Zen Accounting and Financial Services. Are you an artist or a business owner and you're looking for promotional tools to help you to express yourself? Well, look no further. Visit www.melaniesworks.com. That's MELONIS, works with an S.com, or give us a call at 443-790-6303 so that we can help you to express yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the Melanie's Matter Show. We're hanging out here with Mr. Jerome Waters, and the title of his book is called The Capital of Maryland, the Original Annapolis Street Bible. Now, before we get into the book, I want to talk about this subtitle that you have, The Original Annapolis Street Bible. Where did that come from?
Well, basically, in my city, nobody has never wrote a book like my book. Basically give you the insight and explain what's going on in Annapolis. So, I mean, I consider my book as being the original, you know what I mean? Just like the Bible is original. It's giving you the history of Annapolis. It's giving you everything that's in it, you know what I mean? So, like, 100 years while we dead and gone from this earth, my book will still be floating around here. So, it's basically like the Bible. I mean, it's for my city. You know what I mean? It's giving you all the insights, giving you the history, giving you everything that you didn't know what was going on in there. So that's why I named it the Annapolis Street Bible.
Okay. I just needed clarity on that because I know when we originally started the show, I didn't say the full title, so I wanted to make sure that I included that. So again, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Jerome Waters, The Capital of Maryland, the original Annapolis Street Bible, and we'll give you the information of how to get that towards the end. So, Jerome, tell us about your book. That's kind of not giving it away, of course, but can you give us, little bits and pieces so that we can understand where you were trying to go with your book?
Well, like, basically like me and most other boys that growed up around my area, you know what I mean? It's basically a lot of kids growing up today not having the fathers around. Most of them probably incarcerated or dead, you know what I mean? I grew up most of the time without my father. He was in and out of jail since I was born, so my mother left me, my mother to raise me and my brother in drug-infested areas. So, you know what I mean? It's hard for a woman to raise, you know what I mean, one boy, let alone two kids. So, you know what I mean? What you do, you turn to the streets. And that's what a lot of kids are doing today. So, I mean, everybody got a story. It's all about if you're going to tell it or if you're not going to tell it. So I know my story. I mean, growing up in the drug-infested areas and looking at these drug dealers making this money, no father figure around. You know what I mean? Not to teach you about what men are supposed to do. And, you know what I mean? I had to learn from the streets. I mean, my father ain't even taught me what females having sex and none of that. I had to learn about the streets, just like most kids growing up today. So, landed me in juvenile detention center, then landed me in Annapolis detention center, and then landed me in the state system, then landed me 7 years in the federal system. So, I mean, it's like a revolving door. So, basically, I want my book just to give you an upbringing about how my family came up. It gives you a history about how my family came up to how I came up, to going through my trials and tribulations through the penal system and the federal system, and, you know what I mean, till today. So, it's basically, hopefully, it's for the readers, to reaches the young kids and, I mean, even some of the older guys, you know what I mean, that hopefully the younger kids that's coming up don't follow in the same footsteps that I did and make the same mistakes that I did. So, you know, each one teach one, you know what I mean, and I know a lot of guys can relate that's incarcerated or guys that been in and out of jail, you know what I mean, basically try to, your upbringing is basically no different than anybody else's upbringing, you know what I mean, you just gotta, you flip your hustle. You know what I mean? It ain't got to be legal. You know what I'm saying? Be legal. You know what I mean? You just ain't got to turn to the streets every time you think if something's going wrong, you need money. You know what I mean? But, I mean, I did the same. I mean, basically my upbringing is no different really from yours. So that's why you need to race to rank the book.
Okay. So would you say that if a young, and I'm going to just say African-American male, if he picked up your book, do you think that he could say, oh, my gosh, you know, I can relate to this?
Oh, of course, because, I mean, a lot of guys, like, I've been through the juvenile system. I got my first gun charge when I was 13 years old, going to the juvenile system and shutting him. You know what I mean? And they charged me as an adult. Well, I went down to the adult detention center, then came home and weighed me down to the juvenile center. But a lot of guys, like, they looking at the rap videos, the drug dealers out there, the main guys in their neighborhoods, you know what I mean? It's like they follow in their footsteps, you know what I mean? Most of them don't have no father figure around, just like me. So, like I didn't have, so they're going to do this. And nowadays, like, the rappers is like, they got so much power today that I really don't think that a lot of them don't know it, because this is these young generations is looking up to these rap guys. And to me, I call them false prophets. Because they sending a message out, and then 9 times out of the 10, they don't know what they sending out, and then it's not the life that they really living. You know what I mean? You got to separate yourself from entertainment to reality. And a lot of guys that's coming up, they can't do that. And they thinking these guys on here with the cars, the money, and everything else that come with it, this and that. Man, there's two sides to the game. You know what I mean? You want to play this game, you got to know both sides. You got to know both sides of the game. Yeah, it looks good with the cars and the females and the money and this and that. And you go out there, man, and take them risks, man, and whatever you selling or whatever you doing and trying to get that money, them cars and the females, you got to take what come along with it. But that's not the other side of the game that these rappers ain't showing the youth. You know what I mean? There's two sides. And you sitting in prison while they still out there entertaining, when you thinking they living the life that they was living, that you could live also. So, you know what I mean? I call it false prophets, but, I mean, it's crazy.
You know, I really appreciate that statement that you just made. And I want to say maybe 3 days ago, I had this conversation via Facebook, and I said to me, and when you're talking about the music, you know, and the messages that it sends, I said, you know, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, I think the reason why rap was embraced like it was, especially gangster rap, is because of the messages, and they knew and they know that if you send these types of messages, dope fiends, go smack a hoe and, all this stuff, all these negative things, then guess what? You're sending these messages to these little kids who, like you said, they think it's real. They think it's, and that's how you kill a community. And I think that's one of the big problems that we have, because music itself is just so, it's convoluted. It's convoluted. And then these kids growing up thinking that, oh, this is the life, this is the way you're supposed to go. No, and then they're killed. Or like you said, in the penal system. And I think that was a powerful message that you just said, and I wanted to elaborate on that. And I hope some young kid is listening. That's all I have to say about that. Y'all can go on for days about that. But I really appreciate you bringing that to light, because you've walked that walk. You've been, incarcerated. It's nothing fun or glamorous about that. You've been on the street, and you know the two sides. There's nothing glamorous about it at all.
Yeah, you're correct. I appreciate that. A lot of guys, since I've been in the federal system and everything, I mean, it's entertainment, but I mean, these guys are used. I love rap. Don't get me wrong. I grew up all rap, and I love rap. Rap was like basically I wanted to be them people on the TV too, living that life too, and that most likely was part of the problem that got me sent. Why I got sent to prison so many times. But a lot of guys, they use the guys' names. I mean, they don't use their real names. They use these other guys' names that did all this stuff. And I mean, I was locked up with plenty of guys in the federal Lewisburg Penitentiary that was locked up, that these guys used a couple of their names. I was on the same floor with a couple of guys that ain't never coming home, and they don't get no respect for that. I mean, these men ain't never going home, but here it is. You could use their name and then start rapping and thinking you just lived this life and did this and did that. I mean, you're sending the wrong message. I mean, if it's a couple of guys that rap, a couple of dudes that rap, and I know that, you know what I'm saying, they live that life, but you get 99% of the time they don't live that life, and I mean, they just take it. It's just they take it and go full throttle with it, not knowing the message that they're sending. But I mean, it's crazy though. But I mean, that's an ongoing beef right there. You know what I mean? But that's another story.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I appreciate that message. So we're going to take a very quick break, and then we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us.
Oh, no. Are you a landlord or property owner and you have tenant problems? Well, don't worry any longer. Visit www.propertyownersbeaware.com. Again, their website is www.propertyownersbeaware.com, so you won't go crazy. When the numbers don't add up, who do you call? When dealing with financial problems, you need someone fast, reliable, and consistent. You need more than just an accountant. You need a partner. To operate a successful business, you need a banker, lawyer, and accountant. Zen's Accounting Service. Call Zen at 410-444-8283 or visit her website at www.zensaccounting.com. That's ZENS accounting.com. Zen Accounting and Financial Services. If you're looking to have a great time with the grown and mature crowd, visit www.lonjackevents.com. That's LONJACK events.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and thanks for hanging out with us. You're listening to the Melanie Matters Show, and we're here today with Mr. Jerome Waters, and he's talking to us about the realness of his book and where he grew up, which was in Annapolis. The name of his book is called Capital of Maryland, the original Annapolis Street Bible. So before we went to break, Jerome was giving us great insight, and he was talking about the music and how, some things can, if you don't have a stable house and if you don't have a father in the house, things can happen, ladies and gentlemen. And we know this. We see this every day. So he was giving us a really good insight about him growing up. He had turned to the streets, and because he turned to the streets, he was in and out of the penal system, and how things just got crazy for him. So, Jerome, what I want to ask you is, now things got crazy, and you were incarcerated, and you said federal time you spent, 7 years?
Yes, ma'am.
7 years, okay. So from the 7-year point, when did you realize that you had to put all of this down on paper, in the form of your book?
Well, when you go like to prison, any prison, somewhere my age, you know what I mean, you got a lot of you run into some good older guys. I say older guys, and it was a good thing that I got. So when I got my federal time and I got to Lewisburg Penitentiary, and it was a good thing that I ran into Baltimore's own Maurice Peanut King. He's from Baltimore, and he had wrote 4 books. And no, I'm sorry. I apologize. That was Rudy Williams from over East Baltimore, and he had wrote 4 books. And I used to sit out there, work out with other guys, my homies, in the city, and just work out. And then, I walked the yard with him one day. They were like, man, I wrote 4 books. He explained to me his life, what's going on in his life. He used to tell me I should put whatever I went through down on paper. So I thought about it. He stayed on top of me. He was one of the older guys that was in the penitentiary that kept me straight, the do's and don'ts in the penitentiary, just basically kept me out of trouble. So that's what the idea of me writing the book came from. So as I left Lewisburg after 2 years, and they sent me down to New Jersey, and that's when I ran into Maurice Peanut King, and he had wrote 4 books as well, and he kept me going. I slacked down when I got down there, and then he talked to me about it, and he kept me going on and on about the book, so it helped me finish my book while I was down there in New Jersey for 2 years. So when I came home, my book was finished. So, shout out to Rudy Williams and Maurice King, keep your head up. Them guys, they got a lot of time and they've been down for a lot of time. But they're good dudes, though, so keep your head up, Maurice and Rudy.
Now, you don't typically hear that. I can turn on TV probably right now and probably find some kind of prison story or something like that, and they're showing you the grit and grind of it. But you're saying that these 2 men kind of helped you along, or to help keep you. They helped you to stay focused.
Correct. Yeah, you get your getting down. I've been in 3 rides in Lewisburg Penitentiary, mainly racial rides. It kicked off. When I was in there, we stayed locked down. If my mother could be on this phone, I used to call her like every other day, and it'd be weeks that I wouldn't even talk to her, and she don't even know if I'm dead or what, because they'll have the whole jail locked down. They get it in. But you meet good dudes. When you in the federals, just like whatever state you from, if you from Maryland, you all get a 037. That's the last 3 digits of your number, and that's whether you from PG County, Anne Arundel County, or Baltimore. Right. So when you go in there, that's your homies right there. Everybody from Maryland, you homies. You sit and eat together at the lunch. You basically be together all day. So you meet good dudes. Everybody look out for everybody. You get your beefs with each other, which is understandable. Friend, brother, whatever, y'all homies go against each other, but overall, you got to have each other back in that. You never know what's going to kick off. But you really get some good dudes that keep you on track, that ain't never coming home, and they want to see you go back out there, and they don't want to see you come back. Because, you get some real good dudes in there. They try to keep you on track. Get you home back to your family, man, and tell you don't come back. This ain't. Even though they ain't coming home, they telling you this ain't the place for you. So you get good dudes in there, though. Everybody not cold-hearted. Some good dudes in there.
All right. So, your book has been out how long?
So my book been out for now going on 2 years when I came home.
Okay.
I got part 2 coming out in for the summer.
Okay. Okay, good. So, I mean, it's still fresh. It's still fresh. So let's talk about the message that you want readers to really take away from this book.
Well, the message really, for the youth, the message I'm telling you is, you know what I mean, if this what it is, this real life right here. You know what I mean? It ain't no faking. You know what I mean? We can keep it real. You got the rat, this ratting all out live out there. You know what I mean? Whatever you think you're doing at them people's police or whatever, you don't think they know. Whether somebody ratting on you or whatever, or they just know, period. I mean, you playing in the game that you can't win. So if you still decide to play in this game, you just make sure you man up when the other side come over the game. It ain't a one-way street. There's always 2 sides of the game. And you'd be lucky if you do go to jail instead of you being underneath the ground dead somewhere. So if you mean it, you out there breaking law, you just got to go full throttle with it. Be a man up. You know what I mean? If you get caught with it, you know what I mean? Man up to it. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody put a gun in your head and make you break no law. You made your own decision yourself. So basically, you man up to it. But my book is giving you the other side of the game. This is what you're going to face on the other side of the game. You're going in the jungle. You go to prisons and all that. You're going inside the jungle. You're going in there. You know what I mean? A good chance you might lose your life. This is the other side of the game that these rappers ain't telling you about. This other side of the game that your homies ain't telling you about. The dudes on your strip ain't telling you about. I'm giving you the full insight. You know what I mean? I lived the game. I mean, I've been hustling since I was 12 years old out on the street. You know what I mean? It led me into the juvenile system, the detention center, the state system, 3 years in the state system. I just came home doing 7 years in the federal system. I mean, this is what it is. And I still look at myself as one of the lucky ones, because a lot of guys that I grew up with that ran the same road that I did, they did or in jail forever. I get letters all the time from my homies locked up forever, ain't never coming home. Or my homies is dead. That been dead since I've been in and out of jail. They just got killed. So, you know what I mean? That's the message I'm trying to give the youth to my book. To the older guys out there that keep doing this, going in and out of jail, in and out of jail, I mean, you taking up space, man. You like a grown kid that somebody got to hold your hand to walk you across the street, man. Get your life together. You ain't going to win. If you ain't win already running the streets, you ain't going to win. All you doing is setting your time up so when they put their rope around your neck and hang you. That's all you doing. They're going to keep putting you back out there until they get tired of you, and they're going to lay you down and leave you in jail forever. You know what I mean? It's 2015. The game is over, period. Rather, the ratting took it out, or when Obama came in office, he did what he did on the war on drugs. So, you know what I mean? That's reality right there. So you playing in the game that you can't win. So that's my message to the book for them.
I must say, I've had a lot of authors on my forum, and I think this is probably the most compelling. And I think because even though I've had authors who, and I myself, I'm an author myself, and my stories are true, but I think because yours is kind of wrapped around so many things. You know, you have the absent father in the household. You have the single mother who was raising 2 children. You have you being lured to the streets. You have whatever that, you know, that is about, the streets is about. Then you got, okay, you've been locked up, and then now you are a success. So you have a lot that's kind of intertwined in your story. And number one, I think you're blessed. That's number one. But number two, I think that people will gravitate towards it because it's true. And because as I'm listening to you, I hear passion behind it. I hear that, look, little kid, you think it's this, but it's really this. I hear that. So I think people will be drawn, you know, to it. I know I certainly am. And that's these are the type of messages that I like to get to the youth. You know, this is what's going to happen if you do A, B, and C. This is your role. You know, and I don't like to hear the sugarcoating stuff, but this is what I like to hear. So I just think that your story is very compelling. But I do have one question about the street. What was the lure to you? Like, what just drew you out there?
Man, just like my mother, like, we was on welfare. You know what I mean? She had the welfare, she had the WIC, everything, the food stamps, whatever. You know what I mean? Birthdays, me and my brother really didn't have no birthdays, and it was understandable because she couldn't do it all by herself. And it was the money that caught my eyes. You know what I mean? The cars, and it was just the attention, everything else that came with it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to see my mother struggle no more. And at the same time, you know what I mean, I was like broke, dirty, like it was. We had nothing, but my mother, she did all she could do. So no father figure around. You know what I mean? That was what it is. I mean, it's just like today with a lot of youth growing up, and it's worse today though because you got a lot of youth. They grown up in a world full of problems with no answers. You know what I mean? And then you got the drugs involved and they gonna go to the streets. That's what it is. And I seen that with me. I wanted the money. I was tired of not having no money. I was tired of seeing my mother struggle. You know what I mean? And tired of being laughed at wearing dirty clothes to school or wearing the same thing to school once every week, every other week, and you know what I mean? It's everything that comes into it. You know what I mean? And I stepped out there. You know what I mean? And watching everybody, it made it easy for me in my neighborhood because it was like family there. Yeah, they was telling me to do this and sell drugs, and I was getting money, but I mean, it was family, and basically they laid the footsteps down to me. You know what I mean? And I just followed them.
Wow. So what would you have to say to the ones who like laid the ground for you? What would you have to say to them?
Well, the ones that laid the ground to me to the streets. Well, I still got love for a lot of guys that laid the grounds to me because the guys that took me underneath their wing, they showed me love. Even, it was illegal what I was doing out there where they was, you know what I mean, teaching me how to sell drugs, and it put money in my pocket and made life a little easier. But, you know what I mean, I could have got shown a different way, and it was a couple guys that I was underneath their wing. They was telling me how to sell drugs and do this and do that, but they also, and this might seem surprising, it was a couple of guys, when I was growing up, they would put foot up my tail if I would get up and get on that school bus in the morning, too. So,
wow.
They would put foot up my tail, and it wasn't just me. It was like a handful of kids that was going to school in our neighborhood that was out hustling. They didn't care how long we was outside hustling or whatever, even if I was making money for them. If they find out that I wasn't getting on that school bus the next morning, they was putting foot up my tail, and they would tell me, I ain't messing with you. I'm not giving you nothing else. You going to school. This ain't gonna be here forever. You going to school. You going to school and be something with yourself, man. You don't want this out here. This is my life. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be nothing. You gonna be something with yourself. Yeah, I'm gonna help you get some money to get you on your way, but don't get used to it. So it was a good thing that I came up around a good people. A lot of kids don't get that. A lot of kids just go sell this drug, take this gun, do this. A lot of kids don't get that. A lot of kids go be in jail forever for the rest of their life, 15, 16 years old. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But I mean, I got blessed though. You know, the God blessed me, I believe. So that's why I think I made it this far. But it's life.
that it is. The style I had like 10 million questions, but the overall story is just really compelling simply because you're talking about literally coming from the street to being something, to, dusting yourself off, to say, you know what, I'm going to stand up, erect, and I'm going to walk this fine line that life is. You either going to go to the left or you will go to the right, the good side or the bad side, but you put yourself up. So let me just ask you this, how does that feel?
It's just a feeling. It can't even be explained. You know what I mean? I done cheated death so many times running the streets since I was 12 years old. When I say I cheated death, I mean I cheated death. No fake, no fronting. I cheated death so many times. So to me, it's like, I live life like every day like I'm in a movie, like I'm the star. You know what I mean? I just live life like that. I'm blessed. I got 6 kids. One grandkid on the way. I'm blessed to be here. A lot of guys don't even see this. So I'm blessed 100%. I'm not a Christian and I'm not a Muslim, but I believe in Jesus and I believe in Allah. My family was raised in a Christian home, but I still believe in Allah and Jesus. So the Bible and Quran. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I could write 1,000,000 books of the things I've been through since I was 12 years old. You know what I mean? You would fall asleep, would wake back up, and still be interested in what I'm saying. But I mean, I'm blessed. There's nothing else that I could say about it. I mean, I'm blessed. I'm cheated death so many times. It's like, and I know a lot of guys same age as me, younger and older, done cheated death just as well. And they tell me the same thing, like, man, we ain't even supposed to be here. So enjoy it. You know what I mean? And basically, and since I've been having kids and everything, so I really live for them now, and I just cherish the moments that I'm with them since I've been away from them so long, being incarcerated. So I have no complaints whatsoever. I could write 10 books, and if don't nobody read it, oh well. I know my kids, they're gonna be proud of me for doing it, and that's just a note in my heart right there. You know what I mean? And that what makes me breathe every day. So I'm blessed.
Wow.
No complaints here. You know what I mean? I've been through hell and back 2, 3, 4 times, and I'm still here. So.
Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop saying wow. I'm going to stop saying wow, but wow. But we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Are you a reader who loves to read about true stories? Well, I've got a book for you. Atypical Journey is a book about 10 true life stories. 10 women who will definitely change your mind about reaching for the stars no matter what your beginnings were. Atypical Journey can be found on Amazon.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we have had simply amazing conversation with Mr. Jerome Waters. He is an author, and the title of his book is called Capital of Maryland, the Original Annapolis Street Bible. And nothing else, ladies and gentlemen, when you listen to, or if you are listening to this right now, you will be compelled to purchase this book. I've had a lot of authors on my forum. I've had a lot of great authors on my forum, but I do not think that I was as compelled. I just don't. I just really, really don't. With that being said, Jerome, please tell everybody where to purchase your book.
You can get my book on Barnes & Noble, Ex Libris, and Amazon. We're going to do the documentary at Capital Maryland 1. We're going to do the documentary in springtime. Part 2 going to be out, Capital Maryland 2, Boca Raton. That's the Mouth of the Rat. That should be out this summer. And after that come out this summer, we're going to try, God willing, do the movie with that, with both of the books.
I see that. I truly, I see that. And I see that so easily. For this book. I really do. And I know a lot of people are going to be drawn to it. But ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you support Jerome. Again, the name of his book is called Capital of Maryland, the Original Annapolis Street Bible. So, Jerome, do you have any closing remarks?
Thank you for having me on your show. And I'm blessed, like I said, and if people, you know what I mean, get my book, you know what I mean, and just, you're going to see the real insight of Annapolis and how my upbringing was, you know what I mean, as in part 2, as when guys coming home. That's about it, you know what I mean, and, I mean, ain't no faking with me 100. I'm 100. I done been through too many trials and tribulations. I'm not fabricating nothing. You read my book, and it's straight up. It's like part 2 come out when guys come home, and straight up, in jail and out of jail. Everything I'm putting in that book, these were me and many other guys go through. You know what I mean? So read my book, you know what I mean? Get an insight on what's going on in Maryland, capital of Maryland, Annapolis. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Oh, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. Go support that book. Again, it's by Mr. Jerome Waters. The title is The Capital of Maryland, the Original Annapolis Street Bible. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, you take care of yourself, and I'll be talking to you soon.
to follow us on blogtalkradio.com and also subscribe on our YouTube page. Search YouTube and type in Melanie's Matters. The Melanie Matters Show, where we always highlight artists, business owners, and we talk about the matters of the community.